Greetings fellow Flagcats and welcome to the Spectrum. Recently my friend Evolve Pixel has been playing Xcom on Twitch. Watching him enjoy it, at least when he's not being team killed,
Nathan shot me!
Has reminded me of a series I used to play a lot when I was in college. For those of you who don't know, Xcom is a series about aliens named Reticulans invading Earth. You play as the commander of a force named Xcom to fight back against this threat to humanity. There is, however, a side series called UFO, which got me into Xcom in the first place. It's inspired a lot by Xcom and shares some of its elements. Playing like an alternative universe, UFO shares the same premise and some of its enemy types of Xcom. However, its gameplay is different as well as its plotline. I'll be taking a look at the UFO trilogy, which is the one I played a lot of while I was in college. However, this trilogy is not the start of its canon. The first game is actually called UFO Enemy Unknown. I, on the other hand, came into this series at the second title, UFO Aftermath. Aftermath is set in 2004, when an alien spaceship goes into orbit over the Earth. It then releases some spores into the atmosphere, and after 7 days, the spores rain down and begin to infect all life on the planet, turning them into mutants or some sort of biological substance for the aliens to harvest later. Your goal as the commander of what few survivors are left on the planet is to fight back against the alien scum and reclaim the Earth. The game starts with a tutorial, putting you in charge of a soldier named Malcolm. Using small text boxes, the game instructs you on how to manipulate Malcolm for your own desires. With at least one soldier selected, using the right click will instruct them to do most actions, like attacking and movement. When moving, a line will show the path your unit will take to get there. These paths can sometimes collide with other units in your squad, forcing some of them to just stand still and go, "I don't know how to get there." The first thing you'll spot about this game, if you're an experienced XCOM player, is the change from turn-based to real-time gameplay. You can pause time at any point using the spacebar, allowing you to fine-tune any plans you're putting in place. The game will pause by itself under certain circumstances, such as one of your units gets hit by an unseen enemy, a unit finishes their task, or when a new enemy is spotted. In the tutorial, the first foe you face is a danglefly, or as I call it, a turd with wings. Time to earn first blood. Right-clicking on an enemy causes your unit to attack it if they're in range and they can see them. If you hold your mouse over the enemy, a percentage to hit is displayed. And here's the kicker, high percentages reliably hit! Take note, XCOM.
Boom. Did I just miss 100%? Chris, I just missed 100%.
Next up, Malcolm finds an injured human on the floor. In one go, the tutorial teaches you how to pick up items off the floor and then heal injured squad mates. Standing on an item that's on the floor, then opening your inventory will show you the items that are at the unit's feet, including corpses.
Gross.
This is also where you rearrange any equipment that's in the unit's bag. Placing the shotgun in Malcolm's bag and pulling out a medkit will allow us to heal Brian. However, the change isn't instant and Malcolm will have to dance for a little while to get the items he needs. With his dance over, all that's needed is to right-click Brian with the medkit in hand and he's back into the fight. Once Brian is up, the game tells you that he has a submachine gun. Some guns have an alt-firing mode to them, a single-shot mode that's weak and slow but accurate, and a burst-fire mode that is accurate but quick and powerful. You will need to change the fire modes occasionally to get the best possible results out of your ever-changing situations. The only thing left in this tutorial is to teach you how to open doors. Then proceed to this thin, hard-to-see square and complete the level. After every mission, if any of your characters level up, you are given the chance to improve one of their 6 stats. The unit's capabilities will increase depending on what you level up. Fun fact, my Malcolm might not be the same Malcolm you get in your playthrough. Every new game changes the starting stats of Malcolm and Brian, so be wary of that going in. Once you've leveled them up, you are taken to the globe screen. There's no tutorial here, only plot, so allow me to fill in this big ass gap that the game failed to fill. You start with 2 territories under your control, each has a base in them and each base you can swap between 3 different kinds. Engineering, which produces equipment for your squad, military, which is where your soldiers will rest, recover and travel from when going on a mission, and research that allows you to research upgrades for your army. In the top right corner is a menu and a table of how many and what kind of bases you have. Clicking on R&D will take you to the development and research window. Development will allow you to either develop new technology, like UFO trackers, or to build new weapons, armor, medkits, etc. You can only start one project at a time, and the time it takes to build will be dependent on how many engineering bases you have. Similarly, research will allow you to study lore to progress the story, but can also do autopsies on enemies, which will unlock new options for manufacturing and development, and tell you about any weaknesses the alien may have. There is, however, one thing that bothers me about this part of the game. You'd think that if we have an engineering base and a research base to house scientists and engineers, then the military bases will allow us to train and recruit soldiers, right? Sadly, that's only half true. Once a soldier meets certain prerequisites, you can send them off to training to improve their skills further than their base stats will allow. This also takes time, but unlike R&D, having more military bases doesn't speed this up. As for recruitment, there isn't a way to recruit people. You just have to hope that while you're sat on the globe screen, a soldier randomly appears one day and decides to fight with you. Yet when these soldiers turn up, it's completely random. I've had games in the past where I've played at least 20 missions with just Malcolm and Brian. It was like playing Army of Two on a budget. This time I was lucky, and Pamela decided to join the fight.
Yes?
Being at the globe screen also gives you access to more equipment to play around with, so I spent some time prepping my squad, making Malcolm a temporary medic, Brian I kept as a CQC guy, and Pamela... Oh, you had to be awkward, didn't you? Shit with everything but launchers and thrown weapons. Oh yeah, let me give you that RPG I don't have. We do have an endless supply of grenades though, so throw those to your heart's content. Then all I had to do was sit and wait at the globe until a mission was available, which takes way too long on normal speed, so triple it is. When a mission is ready, you have at most 3 options. Accept it and send out your squad to do it, reject it, or potentially delegate it to another team to take care of. That option really does come in handy at times, especially when you don't want to do any of the tedious ones. Yeah, I don't want to bother with this one right now. Any more missions? Oh.
We don't talk about no.
When you do accept a mission, you're given one last chance to edit the squad however you need to and send them out on a little red helicopter. There is variety to the mission types to try and stop the game feeling stale. At the beginning, the mission types you will have will be elimination, which is self-explanatory, and recover alive specimen missions, where you need to bring back an enemy alive for scientific reasons. Unlike in Phoenix Point, when you can literally chop them up for food.
But why? Why would you do that?
Later on, you unlock missions where you have to raid and take over an infested military base, destroy growths of mutation, and save pilots who have been shot down during UFO battles, with a few more to unlock afterwards. Despite the variety, early game missions get repetitive and feel slow. For a brand new player, it's not so much of an issue because you're still trying to figure it all out, so everything is brand new. But after a few retries, you notice just how weak and slow your units are. How easy it is to overload them with gear, which slows them down even more. The missions get tedious quick, the constant pausing when something important happens. Just lots of little things that nag at you. To make matters worse, you only have one helicopter to send a squad out on. We are fighting a war against aliens trying to take over the Earth and we can only afford one helicopter? I mean, we're sending out tons and tons of jets to fight out UFOs, most of which at this point just get shot down. Where do we keep getting the jets from? It doesn't take too long to get going, however. After about 30 minutes into the game, I got another recruit and unlocked the base raiding missions when the game started to feel steady again. Then about 20 or so minutes after that, I started encountering new enemies, got some kick-ass gear, and was visiting new maps with new missions, including key missions that would advance my story and allow new research options for better gear later in the game, like tentacle hentai armor. Slow as it is, you are always working towards something. You're always seeking to get more territory, send soldiers for training to make them stronger, working towards new equipment in addition to what you find after missions, and working on new ways to approach situations. The difficulty will also scale as you go, and it can be very harsh in its escalation sometimes. Sometimes you'll find that your units die very quick as they start using weapons that you don't have the right armor for and you can't even research yet. The mutants that carry guns will start carrying even more powerful guns, And some mutants will have a high resistance to all but one type of weapon which you may not have unlocked yet. And if you think that's bad, wait till you meet the aliens that carry around the miniguns and rocket launchers. The game gives and it takes. But the presentation of the game also assists with its giving at times. The music is very well put together and has an air of mystery to it, but will change to fit the play mode you're in. During missions, it's slow and eerie, portraying to the player it isn't safe. But how unsafe is it?
There's one.
Then during the globe screen, it's faster, motivated because it's time to strategize and get stronger. The only sense of voice acting is whenever your troops talk to you. I really don't think I need to tell you this, but don't expect anything professional from the quality, or any of their lines to be profound, or even an atom of personality to the characters. They all have similar lines and either speak with tough guy bravado,
Good to go.
Good to go.
Good to go.
Rest in peace.
Nailed the bastard.
Killed the bastard.
I finished him off.
or on strictly professional terms.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Most annoying part is when they don't shut up when under attack.
Awaiting
There's
further
something to
orders.
worry about.
I get the feeling they just got Terry and Sue from the office and said, read the lines and do different voices into the mic. No, you won't be getting paid for this. That may sound harsh, but when we get to the other titles, you'll see why I think that. As for the graphics, they're decent enough for 2003. The maps can be just as atmospheric as the music is, with its colour palette of dull greenish yellows during the day missions, the moonlit blues of the night missions, and the darkness of the abandoned bases. The map variety is fairly small on the other hand though. Sometimes you'll be fighting within cities, other times within plains, but you find yourself fighting on the same maps quite quickly, at times the only difference being what skin is on the map. Somehow, the military bases are even worse, and their tight corridors and massive open rooms never change the way they look, just the positioning of the rooms, but with so little effort put into them, you hardly notice. The character models are strong in some areas and weak in others. They do suffer with the sharp edges and blurred textures, but the design of the creatures are very distinct and disturbing. There's plenty of oh no moments when you spot the shape of the monster you hate the most. Oops. Your soldiers aren't just generic cut and paste either. The equipment you give to them can be seen on their models in their hands and being worn, so the attention to detail is very well done and the animated portraits are a nice touch too. Finally, how does the main aspect of the game work? The combat. The game encourages you to try different approaches at times, but really, full frontal assault is the way to go. Sure, you can try and stealth. Problem is, even max speed characters will move quite slow when attempting to sneak around. And even then, they will eventually have to kill something when they inevitably get spotted. Really all stealth does is make you quieter when you walk around, but not harder to see. The stealth option also suffers from a severe lack of mechanics to support it. For example, if you do get spotted and you need to take down the target, what should you do? Shoot it with a silenced weapon? Weapons do not come with attachments. So you want that grenade launcher on the bottom of your rifle? Not happening. You want that silencer on your pistol? Nada. Not even camouflage to try and hide you. And if you play it right, sometimes you can make some very overpowered units. Anyone who's got a high marksman or rifle skill is pretty much unstoppable at long range. And then when you unlock the psionic units who are able to mess around with the enemy's minds, they're even more powerful. There's also some things that I wish were in the game but really aren't. For example, if you're stacking up on a door and only one of your units can open the door, you'd want them to be able to open it from the side and then have other units ready to shoot whatever's on the other side. Unfortunately, there aren't commands such as prepare weapon or prepare shot. They only shoot when you tell them to. And yes, you can make them change stances to make them harder to hit and make them more accurate, but you really won't get much of a chance to do these. So they're pretty much useless. So to summarise the combat, it's not the best, but it's far from the worst. And then to summarise the first entry of UFO Trilogy, I would say it's on the higher side of okay, but the lower side of good. It certainly is entertaining to start and easy to pick up. However, when its difficulty begins to increase, it could result in you getting into a rut of which there's no way out because you aren't prepared enough or because the game didn't give you enough soldiers to start fighting back with efficiently. Once you get to the point where you start getting powerful soldiers, gain access to the fancy gear and start facing the actual aliens, not just mutants, it starts to get more interesting, and you do have to think better about the way your soldiers move and fight in order to gain victory as the missions get harder and more varied. Just remember that for every pleasure, there is a pain. If you find XCOM 2 slow but want to play a squad game that's like it, I would suggest this at the very least as a try. It might be a thing, it might not be. You might find that even this real time is too slow, or maybe not even engaging enough. What if, on the other hand, you are a UFO veteran and want an excuse to play it again, but with something different? Well, if you head to the Strategy Core website, you can download a few mods to change it up a little or a lot. The two I tried and are displaying here are the first person mod, which allows you to bring the camera all the way down to foot level so you can make some cinematic moments for all you game photographers out there, as well as check out your soldiers in great detail. The other mod is the combo mod, which adds more items to the game, like M60 heavy machine guns, new enemies including a human Spec Ops faction, and also changes the look of some of the armour, so that your squad looks more varied. Whatever kind of player you are, if you are showing interest, the game is available on goodoldgames.com. And that was UFO Aftermath. Thanks for watching everyone, and remember you're always welcome at the Spectrum.